Alright.
Ain't nobody worried about her.
Okay. That'll make sense.
They all auditioning for my spot. You know that, right?
How old are you? You feel me? Like,
Nobody warned us this week would turn into a full-blown reality TV hostage situation, but here we are. 1 minute it's Instagram stories. The next minute it's a pull-up that has the internet clutching pearls like it's the season finale of a show Netflix refuses to cancel. Chrisean Rock didn't just wake up angry, she woke up with receipts, gasoline, and a match, and the target had one name stamped on it, Stunna Girl. And sitting right in the middle like a confused pawn in a chess game nobody asked to play was Blueface. This isn't love triangle drama, this is a full soap opera on steroids. This is the kind of chaos that makes the Kardashians look like background noise and love and hip-hop look like a kindergarten play. Somewhere between I'm unbothered. Captions and suspicious vacation photos, something snapped. And when Chrisean snaps, the internet doesn't whisper, it screams, because pulling up isn't just pulling up anymore. It's a message. It's a warning. It's a headline waiting to happen. And when the rumors started flying that Chrisean allegedly pulled up on Stunna Girl over Blueface, the internet didn't ask if it was true. They asked how bad it was going to get. Nobody wants to admit it. But this mess didn't start with a pull-up. It started with silence, side eyes, and the kind of Instagram activity that makes detectives out of people who barely passed math. Blueface has always treated loyalty like a temporary subscription, and Chrisean Rock knew that better than anyone. Still, knowing something intellectually and watching it play out publicly are two very different kinds of pain. One bruises your ego, the other sets the internet on fire. For weeks, maybe months, there were signs something was off. The captions got colder. The smiles looked forced. The energy shifted in a way fans instantly clocked, because they've been trained by years of messy celebrity behavior to notice when vibes go left. Blueface wasn't saying much, which in his world usually means everything is happening at once. And then Stunna Girl entered the chat. Not quietly, not subtly, but like someone who knew exactly where the cameras were. Now let's be clear, nobody accused Stunna Girl of stealing anything at first. The word stealing didn't come out until emotions boiled over, because love in this universe is treated like a borrowed hoodie. Whoever's wearing it at the moment claims ownership, regardless of who bought it. But the internet doesn't need paperwork, it needs a narrative, and the narrative started forming fast. Vacation photos, matching energy, too much proximity for comfort. Suddenly, fans weren't asking, are they cool? They were asking, how long has this been going on? Chrisean Rock isn't exactly known for whispering her feelings into a journal. When something bothers her, it doesn't sit quietly in the corner. It stomps, throws chairs, and demands attention. People close to her noticed the tension building, because the posts shifted from chaotic humor to pointed silence. That's always the calm before the storm. When someone who thrives on noise goes quiet, it's never peace. It's preparation. Behind the scenes, rumors say messages were flying back and forth, the kind that don't age well once screenshots exist. Words were exchanged that couldn't be unsaid. Accusations didn't stay vague, they got specific. Names were allegedly mentioned. Lines were crossed. And Blueface, instead of clearing anything up, did what he does best, stayed in the middle and let the chaos cook. That silence didn't cool things down. It turned the temperature all the way up. This is where the story stops being messy and starts being explosive. Because according to the whispers that spread faster than facts, Chrisean didn't just feel disrespected. She felt played. Played emotionally, publicly, and strategically. In her mind, this wasn't just about another woman. This was about betrayal happening right in front of millions of people, with receipts posted in real time like it was entertainment. And when humiliation goes viral, it doesn't just sting, it burns. The internet, of course, picked sides immediately. Some people framed it like a predictable cycle, saying everyone involved knew exactly what they signed up for. Others treated it like a full-blown robbery, acting as if Blueface was a prize that got snatched in broad daylight. That framing only poured more gasoline on the fire, because nobody likes feeling replaced, especially not publicly, and especially not by someone who looks way too comfortable in your spot. Then came the alleged pull-up. That phrase alone sent shockwaves through social media, because pulling up isn't just confrontation. It's escalation. It's the moment drama stops being content and starts flirting with consequences. Nobody knows exactly how much of it was planned versus how much was pure emotion, but the rumor mill didn't care. All it knew was that Chrisean Rock was reportedly outside, and Stunna Girl was allegedly the reason. People started replaying old clips, searching for foreshadowing like this was a crime documentary. Every laugh, every side comment, every joke suddenly felt loaded. Fans dissected facial expressions like body language experts, convinced the signs had been there all along. And honestly, they probably were. This group doesn't hide tension. Well, they monetize it. Blueface's role in all of this became the most infuriating part for many viewers. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't denying. He wasn't clarifying. He was floating through the chaos like a man who knows attention will find him no matter what he does. That kind of indifference reads as cruelty when emotions are already on edge. Silence becomes a statement when everyone else is screaming. As the story spread, blogs started framing it like a showdown that had been brewing for months. Chrisean as the betrayed ex who refuses to be erased. Stunna Girl as the unapologetic new presence who doesn't care whose toes she steps on. Blueface as the common denominator who somehow escapes accountability every single time. It was the perfect storm, because each role fed the next one seamlessly. What made it worse was how familiar it all felt. This wasn't a shocking new dynamic. It was the same cycle with a different headline. Promises, proximity, public disrespect. And then an emotional explosion that gets labeled crazy instead of contextualized. People laughed, memed, and joked, but underneath the humor was something darker. This wasn't just entertainment. It was a pattern repeating itself in HD. Chrisean's reaction, according to those close to the situation, wasn't about wanting to fight for a man. It was about refusing to be embarrassed quietly. There's a difference, and anyone who's ever been publicly humiliated understands it instantly. When your pain becomes content for strangers, dignity feels like the only thing left to protect. And sometimes protection looks aggressive when the audience is watching. The moment the pull-up rumors hit, the internet did what it always does. It exaggerated, dramatized, and amplified everything. What might have been a heated confrontation became a full-scale war in the retelling. Every comment section turned into a courtroom. Everyone suddenly had legal opinions, psychological diagnoses, and moral verdicts ready to go. Facts got blurry, but emotions stayed loud, and still, no one officially shut it down. No clear denial, no clean explanation, just vibes, speculation, and tension thick enough to choke on. That absence of clarity kept the story alive, because ambiguity is the oxygen of viral drama. As long as nobody confirms or denies, everyone gets to imagine the worst version possible. By the end of that first wave, one thing was obvious. This wasn't over. Not even close. Whatever happened, whatever words were exchanged, whatever doors were knocked on or slammed shut, it cracked. Something opened that couldn't be resealed. The situation had officially moved past gossip and into saga territory. Once the pull-up rumors hit critical mass, the internet did what it does best and turned chaos into currency. Memes started flying within minutes, because nothing says emotional devastation like strangers adding laugh tracks to your trauma. Every reaction video had a thumbnail screaming, "This is crazy," like the situation wasn't already unhinged enough. And suddenly, what might have been a private confrontation became a public referendum on loyalty, disrespect, and why nobody ever learns in this circus. Celebrity reactions didn't help either, because once influencers start chiming in, nuance dies immediately. Some laughed it off like it was scripted reality TV, calling it predictable and saying everyone involved thrives on mess. Others took it way more seriously, pointing out that pulling up isn't funny when real emotions and real consequences are involved. But of course, those thoughtful takes got drowned out by jokes, because maturity doesn't trend as well as chaos. Stunna Girl's energy during all of this only fueled the fire. Whether intentional or not, she came off unbothered, and nothing enrages the internet more than someone refusing to look stressed during a scandal. The silence felt loud, the confidence felt provocative. People interpreted every post as a response, every smile as disrespect, every caption as a shot fired. In drama culture, breathing wrong is considered a diss. Meanwhile, Chrisean Rock became the emotional center of the storm, whether she wanted that role or not. Supporters framed her as someone finally standing up for herself after being played publicly one too many times. Critics painted her as impulsive and reckless, ignoring the context entirely because it's easier to label a reaction than examine the cause. That split reaction only intensified the discourse because nothing spreads faster than a divided audience. And then there were the analogies, because the internet cannot process trauma without turning it into pop culture comparisons. People compared the situation to reality TV feuds, celebrity love triangles, even fictional villains stealing protagonists' love interests. Some said this made old-school rap beefs look organized and respectful. Others joked that this was less romantic drama and more emotional Hunger Games, where only chaos survives. Blueface, once again, remained a walking question mark. His lack of public clarity turned him into the villain by default for many viewers, because silence in these situations feels strategic. People accused him of enjoying the attention, of playing both sides, of treating real people like characters in a storyline he controls. Whether that's true or not didn't even matter anymore. Perception had already decided his role. The memes targeting him were brutal. Screenshots of old interviews resurfaced, paired with captions mocking his patterns. People joked that he should be studied in psychology textbooks as a case study in emotional chaos. Others sarcastically crowned him the CEO of mixed signals, because somehow everyone around him ends up looking unstable while he walks away untouched. The internet has a way of turning critique into comedy, but the message underneath was sharp. As the story evolved, timelines got messy. Fans dug through old content, connecting dots that may or may not have existed, but felt real enough to justify outrage. Every interaction between Stunna Girl and Blueface was reanalyzed like Zapruder footage. Every past argument involving Chrisean was reframed as foreshadowing. Suddenly, everyone was convinced this outcome had been inevitable. Public outrage peaked when people started asking the uncomfortable questions. Why does this cycle keep repeating? Why does humiliation always get brushed off as entertainment? Why are emotional reactions punished more harshly than the behavior that provoked them? Those questions didn't trend as hard as jokes, but they lingered underneath the noise like an unresolved chord. The situation also sparked debates about boundaries and self-respect, although those conversations quickly got hijacked by hot takes. Some argued that pulling up only escalates situations and puts people at risk. Others countered that staying silent in the face of disrespect just teaches people they can keep doing it. The internet loves extremes, so the middle ground got trampled instantly. What made everything feel even more surreal was how fast the narrative shifted from concern to spectacle. One moment people were worried about safety, the next moment they were placing imaginary bets on what would happen next. Drama culture doesn't know how to pause. It just refreshes the page and waits for the next update. Stunna Girl's perceived calmness continued to divide opinion. Supporters framed it as confidence and refusal to engage in nonsense. Detractors saw it as smugness and disrespect, especially given the emotional weight of the situation. In this ecosystem, neutrality doesn't exist. You're either winning or losing, and the audience decides which one you are before you speak. Chrisean's supporters rallied harder as the criticism intensified. They pointed out that emotional responses don't happen in a vacuum. They reminded people of the public nature of the humiliation and how difficult it is to process betrayal when it's packaged as content. But those arguments struggled to cut through the jokes, because empathy rarely goes viral unless it's wrapped in sarcasm. Blueface's continued ambiguity became the loudest storyline of all. Every hour without a statement felt intentional. People speculated that he was waiting for the hype to peak before stepping in, or that he genuinely didn't care enough to intervene. Either way, the damage to public perception was already done. Silence doesn't protect you when everyone else is talking. By this point, the situation had fully transcended the original incident. It wasn't about who pulled up on who anymore. It was about patterns, power, and why chaos seems to follow the same names over and over again. The drama had evolved into commentary on celebrity culture itself, where personal pain gets flattened into entertainment and replayed endlessly, and just when people thought the story had hit its peak, it became clear that this wasn't the climax. This was just the moment before consequences start rolling in. Because when outrage cools and memes fade, reality always shows up to collect its dues. When the dust started settling, one thing became painfully clear: nobody walked away from this looking untouched. The jokes slowed down, the memes lost their edge, and reality crept back in like an overdue bill nobody wanted to pay. Because once the internet moves on to the next scandal, the people involved are still left with the fallout. And this fallout was heavy, public, and impossible to spin away. Chrisean Rock's image took another hit in the court of public opinion, but not in the way critics expected. Yes, some people labeled her impulsive, emotional, and unpredictable, the same tired words they always reach for. But a louder group started asking why she's always the one absorbing the blame when patterns repeat around the same man. That question didn't trend loudly, but it stuck, lingering in comment sections like an itch nobody could scratch. For Chrisean, this moment wasn't just about Stunna Girl or Blueface. It was another chapter in a story where vulnerability gets punished and reactions get sensationalized. Being emotional in public doesn't just invite judgment, it invites branding. Once the internet assigns you a role, it's hard to escape it. And the chaotic label is one of the hardest to shake, no matter how much context exists behind it. Stunna Girl, on the other hand, emerged with a reputation that depended entirely on who you asked. To some, she looked unbothered, confident, and unapologetic, the kind of energy that thrives in drama-heavy spaces. To others, she looked calculated, dismissive, and fully aware of the chaos orbiting her presence. In either interpretation, her name became permanently linked to controversy, which in today's culture is both a curse and a currency. Blueface's reputation took the quietest but deepest hit. He didn't explode. He didn't react emotionally. He didn't deny much of anything. And in doing so, he confirmed what many people already believed: that chaos follows him because he allows it, benefits from it, and rarely pays the price for it publicly. The pattern became harder to ignore once it played out again in nearly the same way. Industry watchers started whispering about long-term consequences. Not dramatic cancellations or immediate fallout, but erosion. Trust erodes. Opportunities erode. Public patience erodes. Being associated with nonstop drama eventually turns from entertaining to exhausting. Brands don't like unpredictability, and audiences eventually get tired of reruns, even when the drama is loud. The situation also forced fans to confront an uncomfortable truth about their own role in these cycles. The clicks, the jokes, the reaction videos all feed the machine. Every time outrage turns into entertainment, it teaches celebrities that chaos works. And as long as it works, it keeps repeating. The audience isn't just watching the storm, they're helping fund it. What made this particular moment feel different was the lingering tension. There was no clean resolution, no apology tour, no clear lesson learned statement, just silence, distance, and a sense that something fractured permanently. Those kinds of endings don't feel satisfying, but they're realistic. Real life rarely wraps itself up with a bow. For Chrisean, the aftermath meant facing yet another wave of scrutiny, while trying to reclaim some control over her narrative. Whether she doubles down, pulls back, or reinvents herself remains to be seen. But the pressure is heavier now, because every move gets interpreted through the lens of this incident. Growth in public is never gentle. Stunna Girl's future interactions will be watched more closely than ever. Neutral actions will be read as intentional. Silence will be read as strategy. Confidence will be read as provocation. Once you're placed in the villain or winner role, there's very little room for nuance. The internet doesn't allow gray areas to exist for long. As for Blueface, the biggest consequence might be the slow shift in how people talk about him. Less excitement, more fatigue. Less fascination, more skepticism. Drama keeps attention for a while, but eventually it starts feeling repetitive. And when audiences get bored, they don't rage, they leave. That's the kind of consequence that doesn't trend, but it hurts the most. The broader conversation sparked by this situation didn't disappear either. Discussions about emotional accountability, public humiliation, and the gendered way reactions are judged continued quietly. They didn't dominate timelines, but they changed how some viewers interpreted similar scandals going forward. Sometimes the impact of drama isn't immediate. Sometimes it reshapes the lens people use next time. What's certain is that this saga didn't end the story. It added another layer to it. Another reference point that will get dragged back up the next time names cross paths or tensions resurface. In this world, nothing stays buried. Everything is archived, time-stamped, and ready to be weaponized when convenient. The internet has already moved on to new chaos, but this one left fingerprints. It reminded everyone that behind the jokes and memes are real people navigating emotions. In a system that rewards dysfunction, it exposed patterns that are harder to laugh off once you've seen them repeat enough times. And the most chilling part is that everyone knows this isn't the final chapter. There will be another headline, another confrontation, another cycle dressed up as something new. Because in a culture that feeds on spectacle, the story never truly ends. It just waits for the next spark. And if you made it this far, congratulations! Because you just survived another episode of internet chaos that somehow feels scripted but never is. This isn't just celebrity gossip. This is a live demonstration of how fast love turns into leverage and emotions turn into entertainment. One wrong move, one silent moment, and suddenly the whole world is watching you fall in slow motion. If that doesn't deserve a reaction, I don't know what does. So do me a favor and smash that like button like it owes you money and keeps dodging your calls. Drop a comment and tell me who you think really lit the fuse here, because pretending this mess came out of nowhere is the biggest lie of all. Was this about betrayal, attention, ego, or just another chapter in a cycle that refuses to die? Say it with your chest, because the comment section is where the real arguments live. And if you're not subscribed yet, fix that immediately. This channel doesn't do quiet updates or watered down takes. We break down chaos, expose patterns, and call out the nonsense exactly how it is every single time it pops off. Scandals don't wait, and neither do we, because the next headline is already loading while you're watching this one. Turn on notifications so you don't miss when the next bomb drops, because trust me, it always does. The internet never sleeps. And neither does the drama. 1 minute it's silence, the next minute it's a full-blown meltdown trending everywhere. If you blink, you miss history being rewritten in real time. And remember this, today's shock is tomorrow's pattern, and patterns don't lie. Stay locked in, stay curious, and stay ready, because the ripple effects of fame never stop spreading. This is where the noise gets decoded, the chaos gets dissected, and the truth hides in plain sight.